Hey, how's it going? If you clicked on this video, you obviously want to read this book with me. In this video, we do read Magic in India and the Magic in Egypt, two chapters, chapter 3 and chapter 4. It goes all over the place, bro. It talks about astral light, Thoth the Atlantean, Hermes Trismegistus and the Hermetic principles, all while also talking about Judaism, Kabbalism, a whole bunch of stuff. So I just want to say thanks for clicking on the video. If you could, I hate to do this, but it's just what is necessary as content creators. We have to ask. If you don't already, please hit that follow button. If you like this type of content, if you like going down rabbit holes, talking about certain religions, theologies, the spiritual realm, everything is energy and everything in between. And if you could also just hit the like button. I appreciate you. Let's get right into this. This is a clip from my live stream where we read these books. This is chapters 3 and 4. I love you. Are you guys ready to read with me, bruh? Are you guys ready to read with me? This is definitely the part where I like to read a book, bro. We're reading this book called The History of Magic. We'll probably read the first chapter. This one, ooh, look at that. Ooh, Egyptian stuff. The Indian and Japanese mystery of universal equilibrium and the Egyptian panamorphic links. You guys watch this, clown? Shit, boy. It's funny. People are funny. People are so funny. All right, let's just get right up in here because this shit gets crazy. We are told by the Kabbalistic tradition that India was peopled by the descendants of Cain, and thither at a later period migrated the descendants of Abraham and Keturah. In any case it is, above all others, the country of Gotya and illusionary wonders. Black magic has been perpetuated therein, as well as the original traditions of fratricide imposed by the powerful on the weak, continued by the dominant castes, and expiated by the parias. It's not pharaohs. It may be said of India that she is the wise mother of all idolatries. The dogma of her gymnosophis would be keys of highest wisdom if they did not open more easily the gates leading to the degradation and death. The astonishing wealth of Indian symbolism seems to suggest that it is anterior to all others, and this is supported by the primeval freshness of its poetic conceptions. But the root of its tree seems to have been devoured by the eternal serpent. That deification of the devil against which we have already entered in energetic protest is displayed in all grossness. The terrible Trimurti of the Brahmans comprises a creator, a destroyer, and a preserver. Their Arhanara, who represents the divine mother or celestial nature, is called also Brohani, to whom the thugs or stranglers make votive offerings of their murders. Vishnu, the preserver, incarnates only to destroy an inferior devil who is always brought back to life by the intervention of Siva or Redra, the god of death. One is conscious that Siva is the hypothesis of Cain, but there is nothing in all of this mythology which recalls the mildness of Abel. Interesting, bro. Interesting, bro. I mean, you really got to think about this, bro. If you like really go back and just like have a lot of different ideas and concepts around all of these religions that kind of broke off from these Moses and Abraham, and they're all the Abrahamic religions. They all just have so many overlapping things, and a lot of it for me starts to actually like make sense when I hear things from all these religions. Like Shiva was the destroyer, right? The god of death. Vishnu is the preserver and only the destroyer of an inferior devil. It's crazy. The mysteries of India are notwithstanding grandiose in their poetry and singularity profound in their allegories, but they are the Kabbalah in profanation and henceforth so sustaining the soul and leading it to the supreme wisdom. Brahmanism, with its learned theories, plunges into the gulfs of madness. It was from the false Kabbalism of India that Gnostics borrowed their reveries, by turns horrible and obscene. It is also Indian magic manifesting on the threshold of the occult sciences with 1,000 deformities, which terrifies reasonable minds and provokes the anathemas of all the understanding churches. It is the false and dangerous knowledge, so often confounded by the ignorant and by smatters with true science, which has involved all that bears the name of occultism in the general condemnation, to which the author of these pages himself subscribed sincerely before he had obtained the key of the magical sanctuary. For theologians of the Vedas, God manifests as force only. All progress and all revelations are determined by conquest. Vishnu incarnates in monstrous leviathans of the sea and in enormous wild boars, which mold the primeval earth with their snouts. Still, it is a marvelous pantheistic genesis of the authors of these fables are lucid, at least in their symbolism, or somnambulism. The 10 avatars of Vishnu correspond numerically to the Sephiroth of the Kabbalah. My dogs are tripping out, dude. What's good? Who's up in here? What's up? What's up? What's up? The Sephiroth. 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 What is that?
Sephiroth is best known as the main villain in the video game Final Fantasy VII, a former super soldier who turns against the world. The name also comes from Kabbalistic tradition, where the 10 Sephiroth are divine attributes or emanations.
What about the 10 avatars of Vishnu correspond numerically to the Sephiroth of the Kabbalah?
The 10 avatars of Vishnu, called the Dashavatara, and the 10 Sephiroth in Kabbalah are both sets of 10, but I couldn't find credible sources linking them as directly corresponding or related. Each set comes from its own distinct religious tradition and serves different symbolic purposes. If you're interested in deep studies, an expert in comparative religion might be the best resource.
Dang, we got 16 people on freaking Kick, bro. I love every single one of you guys, dude. Let's go. What's up? We got 5 people on YouTube. We got 3 people up over here on Facebook. If you guys on YouTube want to come and join us over on Kick. Now, there's a few things about Kick. For one, I'm going to drop the link right now for you guys, okay? I'll drop the link. Give me 1 second. But the thing about Kick is Kick on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We have a Kick only stream, okay? Also, at the end of every stream, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, when you guys will see me streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, etc., we'd have a little decompression thing, you know? It's like I turn off everybody except for freaking Kick, and me and Kick just hang out. So that's where majority of the comments you're probably seeing is like all the homies kick it on Kick, because they're the homies, you know what I'm saying? I do have a request that if you do come over to Kick, please just comment something. I need 100 different people in 1 month to comment inside of there to like check off one of the achievements as like a content creator or a streamer on Kick. Very much appreciated. I love you so much. Let's get back up into this. If you're seeing this later, if you want to follow along on Kick while watching this on YouTube later, my screen name on Kick is trip_over_drip. It's Tripoverdrip just as one word everywhere else, but for some reason on Kick I couldn't use that one, so it's trip_over_drip. I love you guys. Let's keep going. All right. The god in question assumed successively 3 animal or elementary forms of life, after which he became a sphinx and then a human being. He appeared next to Brahma in a guise of assumed humility, possessed the whole earth. He was a child on another occasion, and as such, the consoling angel of the patriarchs. After this, he assumed the mask of a warrior and gave battle to the oppressors of the world. Again, he was embodied as diplomacy, opposing it to violence. And it seems that this point to have abandoned the human form to assume the agility of a monkey. So regardless what it's saying, they're like trying to break down the god, right? It's saying the god in question successively assumed the fucking form of animals in like elementary forms of life throughout their, I guess you could say, reign here on planet Earth. They probably still are worshipped today. So I'm just, no disrespect to anybody's religion. We're just trying to understand the information, aren't we? You know what I mean? Vishnu diplomacy and violence consumed one another, and the world awaited some intellectual and moral redeemer. Vishnu thereupon incarnated as Krishna. He was proscribed even in his cradle, beside which there watched the symbolical ass, probably a donkey, right? He was carried far away to save him from the power of his enemies. He attained manhood and preached the doctrine of mercy and good works. He descended into hell, bound the infernal serpent, and returned gloriously to heaven. His annual festival is in August under the sign of the Virgin. Here is astonishing intuition concerning Christian mysteries, and so much more impressive when we remember that the sacred books of India passed into writing many centuries before the Christian era. To the revelation of Krishna succeeding that of Buddha, who married the purest religion to the philosophy of the highest kind. The happiness of the world was thus held to be secured, and there was nothing further to expect, pending the 10th and final incarnation, when Vishnu will return in his proper form, leading the horse of the last judgment. So wait a second, boy. You're telling me that all of these religions, every single one of them, Hinduism, Buddha's like reincarnate and come back and like take the form of Buddha, you know, like Buddha's soul is, you know what I'm saying? So Hinduism, you're telling me that Hinduism, Christians, and the Islamic religion all believe of a being coming back. Vishnu will return in his proper form, leading the horse of the last judgment, the dread steed, whose forefoot is raised always when it is set down. The world will be strewn in atoms. Damn, bro. Damn, you're telling me that fool is going to break us down to particles, my dude? Shit, it's not going to be no normal death. Nobody dies on Earth and just gets broken down to particles. Seems pretty crazy. We may note herein the presence of the sacred numbers and prophetic calculations of the Magi. The Gymnosophists and the Zoroastrian initiates drew from the same sources, but it was the false and black Zoroaster who remained master of theology in India. The final secrets of this degenerate doctrine are pantheism and its legitimate consequence being absolute materialism masquerading as the absolute negation of matter. But what, it may be asked, does it signify whether spirit is materialized or matter is spiritualized, so long as the equality and the identity of the two terms are postulated? But the consequence of such pantheism is, however, moral to ethics. There are neither crimes nor virtues in a world where all is God. Okay, I get that. You know what I'm saying? I understand what it's laying down. The final secrets of this degenerate. It's funny. We may expect after such teachings a progressive degradation of the Brahmans into fanatical quietism. But as yet the end was not reached. It remained for their great magical ritual, the Indian book of occultism, otherwise the I can't say it, to furnish the physical and moral means of consummating the work of their stupefaction and arriving by a graduated method at the raving madness teamed by their sorcerers, the divine state. You know, it just starts to get kind of crazy to me, if I'm being 100% honest with you. We're like talking, this book is called The History of Magic, so I understand like some of the words, but it's just really weird to read a book that's like talking about all sorts of these spiritual paths of Judaism and Kabbalism and Hinduism, and also saying words like magi and sorcerer and magic wand. The work in question is the progenitor of all grimoires and the most curious among the antiquities of Gotya. It is divided into 50 sections and is a darkness spangled with stars. Sublime maxims are blended with false oracles. Footnote. Number 1, we're going to read this one. The analysis of Eliphas Levi requires to be checked at all points. He followed the Latin version of Antiqual Deperon made from a Persian text, and this is so rare as it to be almost unobtainable. I shall therefore deserve well of my readers by furnishing the following extract of Dacian's Religion and Philosophy of India regarding the Opekanatahate. I can't say that word. I'm trying my best. Opekanatahate. A position apart Upanishads. Upanishads is occupied by the collection of 50 Upanishads, which under the name Upanishad was translated from the Sanskrit into the Persian in the year of 1656 at the instance of the Sultan Mohammad Dara Shako, and from the Persian into the Latin in 1801-1802 by Antiquatel de Peron. The Upanishad professes to be a general collection of the Upanishads. It contains under 12 divisions the Upanishads of the 3 older Vedas, and with them 26 Artharva. To be honest, I'm only saying this again because if you're still here, that means you like this type of content. Please hit the like button and please hit subscribe so we can enjoy each other together and read books. And this isn't the only type of stuff I talk about. So I hope that you enjoy my channel. And again, I'm grateful for you, bro. Upanishads that are known from other sources. Real quick before we keep going. All right, dude. I need you to explain to me when talking about, I'm pretty sure it's Hinduism, the Upanishads. What are those? And the Vedas are just texts, right? So are the Vedas and Upanishads similar or different?
The Upanishads are philosophical texts that form the final section of the Vedas, often called Vedanta or the end of the Vedas. The Vedas cover rituals and hymns, while the Upanishads focus on meditation, self-knowledge, and the nature of ultimate reality. So they're related, but serve different purposes within Hinduism.
But they're all basically scriptorial or scriptures to the Hindu religion.
Yes, both the Vedas and the Upanishads are considered sacred scriptures in Hinduism, with the Vedas laying the foundation and the Upanishads elaborating on deeper philosophical teachings.
It further comprises 8 treatises peculiar to itself, 5 of which have not up to the present time been proved to exist elsewhere, and of which therefore the rendering of the Persian Latin of Antiquatel is alone possible. Finally, the Upanishad contains 4 treatises from the Vaj Sam 16, 13, 14, 34, of which is the first is met with in a shorter form of the collections also. Okay, so this is just talking about this practice, but the Upanishad is in Sanskrit. It's a very difficult book to read. It's an insight as keen as that of Schopenhauer, which required in order to discover the philosophical. It's just like philosophical book. Okay. At times, it reads like the Gospels of John the Gospel of St. John, as for example, in the following extracts from the 11th and 48th sections. The angel of creative fire is the word of God, which word produced the earth and the vegetation that issues therefrom together at the heat which ripens it. The word of the creator is itself the creator and is also his only son. Now, on the other hand, the reveries are worthy only of the most extravagant heretics, matter being only a deceptive appearance. The sun, the stars, and the very elements are genii. Interesting. Are genii? Now we got genies up in this bitch? Fuck, I thought it was crazy, bro, when we like talking about sorcerers and Kabbalah and Baal worship and Jesus and Krishna and Judaism and Islam and Muhammad and all of this stuff together. And now they're talking about genies? Okay, Genii is genie, right? Like a genie from a lamp?
Yes, genie is the plural form of genie, referring to supernatural being.
No, okay, genie is the plural form to genie. So we're talking about more than one genie? Shit, call me Aladdin in this bitch. Let me get that freaking lamp. While animals are demons and a man is a pure spirit deceived by the illusion of forms, we are perhaps sufficiently edified by these extracts in respect of doctrinal matters and may proceed to the magical ritual of the Indian enchanters. In order to become God, the breath must be retained. Oh my goodness. Can I get poop emojis in the chat? I mean, that's... If you know, you know, bro. If you've been here for any amount of time on my streams, bro, I talk a lot about breath work, bro. And it says right there, in order to become God, the breath must be retained. That is to say, it must be inhaled as long as possible till the chest is well descended. And in the second place, the divine Om must be repeatedly, inwardly, 40 times while in that state. It's in your breath. It's in your breath. Expiration in the third place follows very slowly, the breath being mentally directed through the heavens to make contact with the universal ether. Those who would succeed in this exercise must be blind, deaf, and motionless as a log of wood. The posture is on knees and elbows with the face turned to the north. One nostril is stopped with a finger. The air is inhaled by the other, which is then also closed. The action being accompanied by dwelling in the thought on the idea that God is the creator, that he is in all animals, even in the ant and in the elephant. The mind must be absorbed in these thoughts. Om is at first recited 12 times and afterwards 24 times during each inspiration, and then as rapidly as possible. This regimen must be continued for 3 months without fear, without remission, eating and sleeping very little. In the 4th month, the devas will manifest. In the 5th, you will have acquired all qualities of the devatas. In the 6th, you will be saved and you will have become God. Wait a second. But it just said fucking without eating or sleeping, or eating and sleeping very little. Okay, so that's basically what it is. You're not supposed to eat 3 times a day, bro. You're supposed to eat small little bits. You know what I'm saying? What seems certain is that in the 6th month, the fanatic who is sufficiently imbecile to persevere in such a practice will be dead or insane. If, however, he should really survive this exercise in mystic breathing, the Upanakhat does not leave him in the happy position mentioned, but makes him pass to other experiences. With the end of one finger, close the anus, and then draw the breath from below upwards on the right side. Whoa, shit, my motherfucker, dude. I'm gonna put a finger in your butt. It's gone too far, bro. I guess fucking if you want to be magical, if you want to be God, you know what I'm saying? You gotta woohoo. Upwards to the right. Make it circulate 3 times round the second center of the body. Thence bring it to the navel, which is the 3rd center. Then to the 4th, which is the middle of the heart. Oh, I see. So you're just like stimulating the chakras, basically. But if you're technically talking about your root chakra, you might have to, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? Subsequently, the 4th is your heart. The 5th is your throat. The 6th is, which is your 3rd eye, right? And then the top. There, then retain the breath. It has become that of the universal soul. This seems simply an auto-hypnotic method of inducing a certain cerebral congestion. But the author of the treatise continue. Think therefore of the great Om, which is the name of the Creator and is that universal, pure, and its indivisible force which fills all things. This voice is the Creator himself, who becomes audible to the contemplative after 10 manners. The first sound is like that of a little sparrow. The second is twice the first in volume. The third is like the sound of a cymbal. The 4th is like the murmur of a great shell. The 5th is comparable to the song of the Indian lure. The 6th is like the sound of an instrument called tal. The 7th resembles the sound of the bakabo flute held close to the ear. The 8th is like that of the instrument called pakkodjt, which is struck with the hand. The 9th is like the sound of a little trumpet, and the 10th like that of a thundercloud. At each of these sounds, the contemplative passes through different states, and at the 10th he becomes God. At the first sound, their airs of his whole body rise erect. At the second, his limbs become torpid. At the third, he feels through all of his frame the kind of exhaustion which follows the intercourse of love. At the 4th, his head swims and he is as one intoxicated. At the 5th, the life force flows back into his brain. At the 6th, this force descends into him and he is nourished therein. At the 7th, he becomes the master of vision, can see into the hearts of others and hear the most distant voices. At the 9th, he becomes so ethereal that he can pass wheresoever he will and can see without being seen, like the angels. And at the 10th, he becomes the universal and indivisible voice. He is the great creator, the external being, exempt from all, and having become the perfect peace, he dispenses peace into the world. This is kind of crazy, right, dude? So you're telling me like these freaking these monks and shit are trying to reach godhood, right? That these Buddhists and Hindu monks that go and do these things where they just sit and meditate for years and years and years. Fuck, it's insane, bro. It's crazy, bro. What is notable in these most curious extracts is their exhaustive description of phenomena which characterize lucid somnambulism combined with a complete practice of auto hypnosis. It is the art of inducing ecstasy by tension of the will and fatigue of the nervous system. We recommend, therefore, to mesmerists a careful study of the mysteries of the apanakat. The graduated use of narcotics and a scale of colored discs will produce effects analogs to these described by the Indian sorcerer. M. Ragon has provided the recipe in his work, the La Makrani Akote. The Apakanat gives a simpler method of losing consciousness and arriving at ecstasy. It is to look with both eyes at the end of the nose, and maintain this act, or rather this grimace, until paralysis of the optic nerve supervenes. Wait a second, you're supposed to fucking lose consciousness and go blind, bro? Paralysis in your eyes? Seems kind of wild, bro. All such practices are equally painful, dangerous, and ridiculous. We are far from recommending them to anyone, but we do not question that in a shorter or longer time, according to the sensibility of subjects, they will induce ecstasy, catalepsy. What is that? Or even a dead swoon. What is catalepsy? What is catalepsy? What is catalepsy? Catalepsy is the symptom or physical state in which a person becomes very still, has rigid muscles, responds less to their surroundings, and may hold a body position for an unusually long time. In order to obtain vision and the phenomena of second sight, a state must be reached which is akin to that of sleep, death, and madness. It is in this that the Indians excel at, and it is perhaps to their secrets that we must refer to the strange power of certain American mediums. Now we're talking about psychics, bro. American psychics, bro. Where is this book going to lead us, dude? It's going to teach us the history of magic. That's why it's called the history of magic. I'm just joshing you, dude. Just joshing with you guys. Catatonia. Catatonia. Yeah. I'm having a rough time today. Black magic may be defined as the art of inducing artificial mania in others and in ourselves, but it is also above all the science of poisoning. What is, however, genuinely unknown, and the discovery in our days is due to M. du Potet, it is that it is possible to destroy life by the sudden congestion or withdrawal of astral light. What do you if you're watching this now live, I love you. Can you comment what you think it means by astral light? If you're watching this later, I'd also like to read your comments about what you think it means when, right here, it's talking about it. Black magic. It's the science of poisoning, right? It says it is possible to destroy life by the sudden congestion or withdrawal of the astral light. For me, it's like if you were like, it's like talking about your connection with light, like source, like the everything, the eternal light of our spirit, the matrix, the coding, the intelligence behind all of it that makes all of us part of this one huge thing, whether it's God or fucking whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? I think that when they take our soul from us, like our spirit, our godlike essence from us, they withdraw it and they congest it and make it not flow coherently, then we are being poisoned, right? We're being disconnected from our higher self, or it could be from the God you believe in. This may take place when, through a series of almost impossible exercises similar to those described by the Indian sorcerer, our nervous system, having been habituated to all tensions and fatigue, have become a kind of living galvanic pile capable of condensing and projecting powerfully that light which intoxicates or destroys. We are not, however, at the end of the Ankh-Panahat and its magical wonders. There is a final arcanum which the darksome Hierophant entrusts to his initiates as the supreme secret to all. It is actually the shadow and reverse side of the great mystery of transcendent magic. Now, the latter is the absolute in morality and consequently in the direction of activity and in freedom. On the other hand, that of the Openakhat, the absolute in immortality, in fatality, and in deadly quietism. It is expressed as follows by the author of the Indian work. It is lawful to lie in order to facilitate marriages, to exalt the virtues of Brahman or the good qualities of a cow. God is truth, and in him shadow and light are one. Whosoever is acquainted with this truth never lies, for his very falsehood turns true. Whatever sin he commits, whatever evil he performs, he is never guilty if he committed a double patricide. If he killed a Brahman initiated into the mysteries of the Vedas, in a word, whatever he did, his light would not be impaired, for God says, I am the universal soul. In me are good and evil, which are moderated by one by the other. He who knows this cannot sin, for he is universal, even as myself. Damn. Such doctrines are incompatible with civilization, and furthermore, by stereotyping its social hierarchy, India has embedded anarchy into the caste, whereas social life is a question of exchange. Now, exchange is impossible when everything belongs to a few and nothing to others. What do social gradations signify in a punitive civil state wherein no one can fall or rise? Herein is the long-delayed punishment of fratricide. It is one which involves his entire race and condemns it to death. Should some alien, weird. Now we're talking about aliens, bro. Should some alien, proud and egotistic nation, just kidding, I was talking about obviously a different country now if I would just keep reading. Should some alien, proud and egotistic nation intervene, it will sacrifice India, even as Oriental legends tell us that Cain was killed by Lamech. Woe notwithstanding to be the murderer of Cain, so say the sacred oracles of the Bible. Shit, dude. Shema do, ma shoo do, ba dee dee. 1 second, please. You guys tell me. I'm not trying to leave you on a cliffhanger, bro, but you tell me, do we read the next chapter, bro? This one is Hermetic magic. This is one we've talked about, the Hermeticism and the 7 principles, the laws that hold everything together, bro. This is where it's going to be getting kind of crazy, I might think. Please close the blinds. Okay. Tell him I said to. My dogs are barking so loud upstairs. Do you guys have puppies? Anybody got no puppies? Anybody got some kitties? Does anybody got some kitties? Kitty. Just kidding. I love my animals, but they bark at everything that walks by. Even though like not one of the humans ever like jump up or like feel like there's a threat outside, every single thing that moves out of our front window, they just bark. I got this little pit bull freaking Chihuahua mix, like it's a wiener dog, pit bull wiener dog. You know what I'm saying? She's vicious, bro. She's lovely and cuddly, but she's just an alert dog. You know. I know, right?
There, like on the actual lid of the cup.
Oh no, I don't know. I love you. Gas. I have no idea how that mix happened. Please close the door, bro. I have no idea how that mix happened, bro. But it seems kind of crazy. She's the cutest. I'll post a picture, some pictures of her up in the Discord. Let me just drop a link to the Discord if you guys want to even join up in our freaking Discord, homie. a link up in the Discord, bro. Let me just hit this invite to server. If you're not in the Discord, bro, come hang up in the Discord, bro. I just dropped the link in the chat. Discord it up. Discord it up. I just put it in. Every single one. Discord it up. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. What's up? What's up, Laura Ann? Hell yeah. What's up, 961036? Let me just reply to this chat. Yes, I am here. Glad you joined. Yeah. Dang, Lacey Lane at 222. You see that? Them angel numbers speaking to us. It's 222 right now, bro. 222. She showed up her little doggies. Little cute doggy. She's cutie. She's a cutie patootie. So yeah, Ruby, what's up? We love you, Ruby. Come join the Discord, bro. I just dropped the link in all the chats. I hope you guys join. I don't even know how many peeps we got up in here, but we got some peeps, bro. We got a whole bunch of different chats too, actually. To be honest with you, we got a whole bunch of different stuff. So I hope you join. All right, we're 30 minutes in. We're going to hurry and knock this one out. It is in Egypt that magic attains the grade of compilation. It is in Egypt that magic attains the grade of completion as the universal science and is formulated as the perfect doctrine. As a summary of all the dogmas which obtained in the ancient world, nothing surpasses and indeed nothing equals those few paragraphs graven on precious stone by Hermes and dominated the emerald tablet. Ooh, can we put Hermes in the chat? Hermes Trismegistus, Hermes thrice great. You know what I'm talking about, bro. You know what I'm talking about, bro. Don't look at me like that. You know who Hermes is. Unity of being and unity in the harmony of all things, according to the ascending and descending scales, progressive and proportional evolution of the word. Immutable law of equilibrium and graduated progress of universal analogies, correspondence between the idea of its expressions, providing a measure of likeness between creator and created. Shit, dude. The law of correspondence and the law of polarity, bro. Are we just different things on the same scale, the creator and the created? We're exactly the same. We're just at a different degree, bro. We're just a different degree on the scale, bro. That doesn't mean we can't move over to God-like, divine-like, spiritual-like being. We just got to move our thing on the scale. You know what I'm saying? Essential mathematics of the infinite. We know that the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, bro, it's all everywhere in the sacred geometry of all of it. So essential mathematics of the infinite proved by the dimensions of a single angle in the finite. All this is expressed by one proposition. That which is above is like that which is below. Fire. Let me get some fires. This shit's fire. And that which is below is like that which is above, for the fulfillment of the wonders of the one thing. Hereunto are added the revelation and illuminating description of the creative agent, the pantomorphic fire, the great medium of occult force, in a word, the astral light. The sun is its father, and the moon its mother. The wind has borne it in the belly thereof. It follows that this light is emanated from the sun and has received form and rhythmical movement from the influences of the moon, while the atmosphere is its receptacle and prison. The earth is its nurse. That is to say, it is equilibrated and set in motion by the central heat of the earth. It is the universal principle, the Teslema of the world. Let's ask. What is the telesma?
Telesma comes consecration.
Can you say no? What is telesma of the world?
Telesma comes from ancient Greek and refers to a vital, universal spiritual energy that pervades all things, often seen as the quintessence beyond earth, water, air, and fire. It symbolizes the essence that connects the material and the divine, and it's also the root of the word talisman.
Wait, what? Did you just hear what he said? It's the root of the word talisman. And it basically just described Telesma is like this intelligent astral light of everything, connecting all elements and compounds and forms of matter, light, sound, frequency, all of it together. That's pretty crazy if you really then take it and bring it down into this little talisman that you might carry around your neck everywhere you go. Hermes goes on to set forth in what manner this light, which is also a force, can be applied as a lever, as an universal dissolvent, and as a formulative and coagulative agent. How also this light must be extracted from the bodies in which it lies latent in order to imitate all the artifices of nature by the aid of its diverse manifestations as fire, motion, splendor, radiant gas, scalding water, and finally indigenous earth. The emerald tablet contains all magic in a single page. The other works attributed to Hermes, such as the divine Pymander, Asclepiades, Minerva of the world, etc., are genuinely regarded by critics as productions of the school of Alexandria. Shout out Lawrence, let's go, bro. We love you. You got this. You manifested this, bro. But they contain, notwithstanding the Hermetic traditions which were preserved in theurgic sanctuaries. For those who possess the keys of symbolism, the doctrines of Hermes can never be lost. Amidst all their ruin, the monuments of Egypt are as so many scattered leaves which can be collected, and the book of those doctrines thus reconstructed entirely. In that vast book, the capital letters are temples, and the sentences are cities punctuated with obelisks by the Sphinx. The physical division of Egypt was itself a magical synthesis, and the names of its provinces corresponded to the ciphers of sacred numbers. The realm of Sesostris was divided into three parts. Of these, Upper Egypt of the Thebaid was a type of the celestial world and the land of ecstasy, and Lower Egypt was the symbol of earth, while the Middle or Central Egypt was the land of science and high intuition. Each of these parts were subdivided into 10 provinces called nomes, and they were placed under the particular protection of a god. There were therefore 30 gods, and they were grouped by threes, giving symbolic expression in this manner or otherwise in the threefold material, philosophical, and religious significance of absolute ideas attached primitively to numbers. We have thus the triple unity or the first triad, like, Jesus, God, the Holy Ghost, the Trinity, the triple binary formed by the first triad and its reflection of the Star of Solomon, the triple triad or the complete idea under each of its three forms, the triple quaternary being the cyclical number of astral revelations, and so onward. The geography of Egypt under Sesostris is therefore a pantical or symbolical summary of the entire magical dogma originating with Zoroaster and rediscovered or formulated more precisely by Hermes. In this manner did the land of Egypt become as a great volume as the instructions contained therein were manipulated by translation into pictures, sculptures, architecture through the length and breadth of the town and all the temples. The very desert had its eternal teachings, and its word of stone was set squarely on the foundations of the pyramids. The pyramids themselves stood like boundaries of the human intelligence, in the presence of which the colossal Sphinx meditated age after age, sinking by insensible degrees into the desert sand. Even at this day, its head, defaced by the work of time, still emerges from its sculpture, as if waiting exponentially the signal for its complete entombment at the coming of a human voice revealing a new world, the problem of the pyramids. Egypt, from our standpoint, is the cradle of science and of wisdom, for it clothed with images and antique dogma of the first Zoroaster more exactly and more purely, if not more richly, than those of India. The sacerdotal art and the royal art made adepts by initiations in Egypt, and such initiation was not restricted within the egotistic limits of caste. We know that a Jewish bondsman himself attained not only initiation but the rank of minister in chief, perhaps even of grand hierophant, for he espoused the daughter of an Egyptian priest, and there is evidence that the priesthood in that country tolerated no misalliance. Joseph realized in Egypt the dream of communism. He established the priesthood and the state of sole proprietors, and thus their sole arbiters of labor and wealth. In this way, he abolished distress and turned the whole of Egypt into a patriarchal family. It's crazy, dude. It is a matter of common knowledge that this evolution was due to the skill of interpretation of dreams, a science which even devout Christians now refuse to credit, though they recognize that the Bible, which narrates the wonderful divinations of Joseph, is the word of the Holy Spirit. The science of Joseph was none other than a comprehension of the natural analogies which subsist between ideas and images, or between the world and its symbols. He knew that the soul, when immersed by sleep in the astral light, perceives the reflections of its most secret thoughts and even in its presentiments. He knew further that the art of translating the hieroglyphs of sleep is the key of universal lucidity, seeing that all intelligent beings have revelations in dreams. Fire. You hear that? Your dreams have meaning. All intelligent beings have revelations in dreams. Where are all of you intelligent, beautiful humans at? Team Human in the chat, boy. The basis of absolute hieroglyphical science was an alphabet in which deities were represented by numbers, letters represented ideas, ideas were convertible into numbers, and numbers were perfect signs. The hieroglyphic alphabet was the great secret which Moses enshrined in his Kabbalah. Its Egyptian origin is commemorated in the Sefer Yetzirah, in which it is referred to Abraham. Now, this alphabet is the most famous book of Thoth. Oh my God. Now we're talking about Atlanteans, bro. Thoth, the Atlantean. We've got freaking Jesus. We got Moses. We got fucking wizards and sorcerers and magic wands and black magic and ball worship. And now we're talking about Atlanteans, bro. It was divined by Court de Gabriel that it has been preserved to our own day in the form of tarot cards, bro. Who are my tarot readers out there, bro? Let me read that again. Now, this alphabet is the famous book of Thoth, and it was divined by Court de Gabriel that it has been preserved to our own day in the form of tarot cards. It passed later on into the hands of Italia, who interpreted it in the wrong sense, for even a study extending over 30 years could not atone for his want of common sense or supply deficiency in his education. The record exists still among the drift and the waste of Egyptian monuments. Wait 1 second. Can you please explain to me the connection between Aleister Crowley and Egyptian tarot cards? And that's where like tarot cards kind of started to become popular in America.
Crowley designed the Thoth tarot deck, which incorporated Egyptian symbolism. But tarot itself originated in 15th century Italy as playing cards. The idea of Egyptian roots became popular in the 18th and 19th centuries, and tarot gained wider popularity in America in the 20th century through occult movements and the Rider-Waite-Smith deck.
Aleister Crowley, bro, the fucking biggest occultist of all time, used this Thoth tarot stuff, bro. And its most curious, most complete key is found in the great work on Egypt by Athanasius Kircher. It is the copy of the Isaiac tablet which belonged to the celebrated Cardinal Bembo. The tablet in question is of copper with figures in enamel, and it has been unfortunately lost. The copy supplied by Kircher is, however, exact. The learnt Jesuit divined that it contained the hieroglyphic key of sacred alphabets, though he was unable to develop the explanation. It is divided into 3 equal compartments. Above are the 12 houses of heaven, and below are the corresponding distributions of labor throughout the year, while in the middle place are 21 sacred signs answering to the letter of the alphabet. In the midst of all is a seated figure of the panamorphic Sphinx, emblem of universal being, and corresponding as such to the Hebrew Yod. or to the unique letter from which all other letters were formed. The inks is encircled by the Ophite triad, answering to the three mother letters of the Egyptian and Hebrew alphabet. On the right, where's the picture? Okay. It's upside down. Okay, I'm gonna read. I'll zoom out so y'all can take a screenshot to turn it over, and I'm gonna read this. On the right are Ebomorphic and Cyprian triads. On the left are those of the Nephthys and the Hecate. They're the Hecate. Remember, we were talking about Hecate, bro. Representing active and passive, fixed and volatile, fructifying fire and generating water. Each pair of the triads in conjunction with the center produces a sepentary, and the sepentary is contained in the center. The three sepentaries furnish the absolute number of the three worlds, as well as the complete number of primitive letters to which a complementary sign is added, like 0 to the 9 numerals. The 10 numbers and the 22 letters are termed in Kabbalism the 32 paths of wisdom. And their philosophical description is that of the venerated primeval book known as the Sefer Yetzirah, the text of which will be found in the collection of Histosaurus and elsewhere. The alphabet of Thoth is the original of our tarot only in indirect manner, seeing that the letter is of Jewish origin in the extant copies that its pictures are not older than the reign of Charles VII. The cards, okay, this is kind of insane to look at. These are all like fucking Hebrew letters, bro. The gematria, bro. Elite Sky Killer, what's good? Elite Sky Killer, what's good? If we could just get some, hey, how you doing? What's good up in the chat, just so I can see who's all up in here. We got 5 people on YouTube. I'm not sure how much on Twitch. I'm not sure how much on Kick. I just want to say thank you for being here. If you're watching this later, I appreciate you so much for even clicking on this video. I love you. Thank you. Okay, we got a few more pages. The cards of Joachim Gringonier are the first tarot cards of which we have any knowledge, but they reproduce symbols belonging to the highest antiquity. The game in its modern form was an experiment on the part of astrologers to restore the king who has been mentioned to reason. The oracles of the tarot give answers as exact as mathematics and measured as the harmonies of nature. Such answers result from the varied combination of different signs. Happy birthday! You're 50 years eternal. But it requires considerable exercise of reason to make use of an instrument belonging to reason and to science. The poor king in his childish condition saw only the playthings of an infant in the artist's pictures, and he turned the mysterious Kabbalistic alphabet into a game of cards. Remember, because it started in Italy or whatever. We are told by Moses that the Israelites carried away the sacred vessels of the Egyptians when they came out of the land of bondage. The account is allegorical, for the great prophet would scarcely have encouraged his people in the act of theft. The sacred vessels in question were the mysteries of Egyptian knowledge, acquired by Moses himself at the court of the Pharaoh. We are by no means suggesting that the miracles of this man of God are referable to magic, but we know on the authority of the Bible and that Yanez and Mambres, who were magicians of Pharaoh and consequently grand hierophants of Egypt, began by performing in virtue of their art wonders which were similar to those of Moses. They transformed wands into serpents and serpents again into wands, which might be explicable by prestige or fascination. They changed water into blood. They produced a swarm of frogs in a moment. They could not cause flies to appear or otherwise parasitic insects for reasons which have explained already, as also the manner in which they were forced to confess themselves vanquished. Moses triumphed and led the Israelites out of the land of bondage. It was at this period that true science became lost to Egypt, for the priests, abusing the implicit confidence of the people, allowed that knowledge to degenerate into brutalizing idolatry. That is insane. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it just said the Jews stole ancient Egyptian knowledge when they left the land of bondage. Such is the rock of peril for esoteric science. The truth must be veiled, yet not hidden from people. Symbolism must not be disgraced by the lapse into absurdity. The sacred veil of Isis must be preserved in its beauty and dignity. It is over this that the Egyptian priesthood failed. The vulgar and the foolish understood the hieroglyphic forms of Isis and the Hermenubis as real things, so that Isis was understood to be an ox, while the wise Hermes was a dog. The transformation the transformed Osiris masqueraded in the fantastic guise of the bowl of Apis, nor did the priests hinder the people of adorning flesh extended for their kitchens. It was time to save the holy tradition. Moses established a new nation and forbade all worship of images, but the people unfortunately had dwelt long among idolaters, and the memories of the bowl of Apis remained with them in the desert. That's where the bowl worship comes from. That's where Baal worship comes from, bro. They took it with them from Egypt, bro. We know the history that the golden calf, to which the children of Israel have always been a little addicted. Moses, however, did not wish the sacred hieroglyphics to pass out of memory, and he sanctified them by their consecration to the purified worship of the true God. We shall see how all objects which entered into the cultus of Jehovah were symbolic in character and recalled the venerable signs of primeval revelation. But we must first finish with the Gentiles and follow through pagan civilization. The story of materialized hieroglyphics and the ancient rites get degenerated. On Friday, we're going to continue with magic in Greece, bro. Dude, this shit is insane, bro. Are you guys here for this, bro? Are you guys freaking here for this, dude? Okay. So basically, Egypt, bro, is where all the real magic came from. Can we agree on that, dude? Can we conclude that it seems to be that Hermes and the Hermetic principles are like really actually like key to it? You know what I'm saying? You know, the law of vibration, the law of correspondence, polarity, you know what I'm saying? Cause and effect, the law of gender, the law of duality. You know what I'm talking about, bro? They talked specifically about that. And Hermes, I don't know. And then Thoth, the Atlantean, the ancient Kemet, the king from Kemet that ruled over ancient Egypt for 50, 40, 60,000 years. Seems pretty fucking insane. I see that you made it to the end of the video. If you could possibly just comment the words Team Human or your favorite color, just so I know and can kind of monitor who watches the whole video. Again, if you've made it here, this book was crazy, wasn't it? It talked about so much stuff that I'm going to probably have to go over and read it again. You have the luxury, if you want to read the book yourself, you can, or just watch this again, because this is some really complex information regarding intricacies and interconnectedness of all sorts of concepts, whether it's like astral light and geometry to Judaism to Kabbalism to like Baal worship and Thoth the Atlantean and Hermes Trismegistus. What a wild ride. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys on the next one.